Y yo soy un intérprete de español y quiero informarle que tenemos servicio de interpretación en español en la mesa de la parte de atrás.
Добрый вечер. Если вам нужен перевод этой презентации на русский язык, получите, пожалуйста, синхронное оборудование у стола переводчика в конце аудитории. Спасибо.
各位晚上好，我们今天晚上会为大家提供中文的翻译服务。如果有需要的话，可以到礼堂后面的桌子领取这个耳机收听翻译。谢谢。
Thank you all for taking the time to attend. Everyone is busy and you've made this a priority. We appreciate that so many of you are here tonight expressing an interest in NYCHA. In accordance with Section 5A of the United States Housing Act of 1937 as amended, housing authorities are required to develop, with review and input from residents and the general public, an annual plan that outlines its priorities for the upcoming year. Federal law allows a public housing authority to modify or amend its annual PHA plan or plan. Significant amendments to the plan are subject to the same requirements as the original plan. On February 19, 2016, NYCHA published a significant amendment to the fiscal year 2016 annual plan. The amendment includes the disposition of parcels of land at Holmes Towers in Manhattan and Wyckoff Gardens in Brooklyn for the development of new housing as part of the Next Gen Neighborhoods program. NYCHA has also released its fiscal year 2016 capital plan and 5-year action plan for public review and comment. The review period, which began on February 19, 2016, encourages our residents and advocates to provide written comments on the significant amendment to the fiscal year 2016 annual plan and the fiscal year 2016 capital plan until April 8, 2016. These comments will be taken via fax and email through the mail and collected at this public hearing. The significant amendment was made available on February 19th for public inspection at NYCHA's principal office at 250 Broadway, on NYCHA's website, at each local property management office, and at all community operations, management, and lease housing borough offices, and at 5 designated community centers. The amendment and capital plan were also sent to all resident advisory board members, delegates and alternates, and to each resident association president. The purpose of this public hearing is to obtain the views, comments, and recommendations of the public on the significant amendment to the fiscal year 2016 annual plan and the fiscal year 2016 capital plan. The amendment and the capital plan are not final and will be modified before they are submitted to HUD. Please understand, however, that this evening is not intended as a forum for verbal exchange. NYCHA representatives will not engage in discussions with the speakers, nor will they respond to questions. They are present to hear what you have to say about the significant amendment and the capital plan. This public hearing is being live streamed over the internet and will be available to view on NYCHA's website. Joining us tonight, we have the NYCHA Board, Chair and Chief Executive Officer Shola Olatoye, Michael Kelly, General Manager, Victor A. Gonzalez, Member, Beatrice Bird, Member, Willie Mae Lewis, Member, Derek Cephas, Member, and Zaire Dinzy Flores, Member. Before we will begin, I would like to introduce NYCHA's Chair and Chief Executive Officer, Shola Olatoye, who will share with us a brief update of the Next Generation NYCHA initiatives.
Thank you, Janelle. Good evening. Wonderful to see you all here. I want to thank again my partners in all things NYCHA, my general manager and my fellow commissioners. I want to thank you for your partnership and commitment to the more than 400,000 residents who call on us for home. I also want to beg your forgiveness with my voice. I just got it back, so if it's a little raspy, it's been out of use for a couple days. So welcome to our public hearing on our significant annual plan and significant amendment. And I thought just before we begin into what is really the focus of this evening, which is to hear from all of you, we take a few minutes to talk about specific parts of our Next Generation NYCHA plan, which we've shared in this setting last May, and something that we've been working very hard on with many of you in implementation. So the vision of our plan is very simple. And it really reflects the two charges that the mayor gave me when he appointed me, which was to reset and engage, reset relationships and engage with residents in a new and different way, and to create a plan to preserve what is truly the city's truest affordable housing. And so over the course of a year and a half, we developed this plan that is really focused on making the vision a reality, which is everyone deserves to live in a safe, clean, and connected community. How do we do that? How do we do that in the face of potentially staggering financial realities and difficult physical conditions is our challenge. But hopefully with your help and support, we can get there. So what will Next Generation NYCHA accomplish? It's very simple. We are trying to set us on a financial path so that we can address the real conditions in the homes of all of you. It means eliminating our annual recurring deficit and actually getting to a place of financial sustainability so that we can stabilize our operations and deliver on better customer service, attract new kinds of resources. This is an acknowledgement that the traditional source of funding to federal public housing has drastically changed, and we have to acknowledge the difference. Address this more than $17 billion in capital repairs or repair needs that exist in all of our buildings. And most importantly, and the reason why we do all of this, is improving the quality of life for our residents. So the plan is really based on really 4 key pillars: changing the way we are funded, fundamentally changing the way we do business, helping to rebuild and leverage parts of our portfolio or our buildings, and engaging with residents in a new way and connecting folks to opportunity. There are 15 very specific strategies. This is not a kitchen sink plan. These were very specific strategies that were designed to put us on a healthy financial path so that we can deal with the capital repair needs in our buildings. I thought we'd just take the opportunity to talk about 2 components of that plan this evening, which have gained and a lot of sort of public attention and are worth some further discussion. One is we start from a place of how do we deliver better services to you, to our residents. And so one of the initiatives that we have talked about and recently launched begin to talk about is flexible operations, which is about extending hours at our developments. Basic property management, making sure that when you leave your homes, your floors are cleaned, your trash is picked up, and that there are doors locked and lights on. It's very simple. It's the same kind of services that most New Yorkers have the expectation of, and we believe NYCHA residents should be no different. So we will move from our traditional single schedule to a staggered set of shifts, Monday through Friday, so that there is coverage from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. at our developments. And on Saturdays, you'll actually get to talk to a human being in your management office from 8 to 12 by appointment only. For those of you who've lived in the Housing Authority for many years, some of you will say this, we used to have this many years ago, when you can go down and talk to the manager or the housing assistant and inquire about certain issues. There was truth and good in that, and this is again about trying to deliver better services to you, our residents. I think it's important that we set the record straight about what Flex Ops is. It's about improving customer service and setting our employees up for success. And what we have engaged in over the course of the last 8.5 months with our colleagues from Local 237 has really been about identifying issues that might be of concern. And so we worked very closely with them around safety assessments at the 12 sites where we will begin this initiative. About really developing and making sure that all employees have access to basic supplies, things like reflective gear and flashlights and two-way radios, making sure that things that should have been fixed anyway are fixed, doors locked, reflective two-way mirrors, etc. Making sure that our property management offices are equipped with security enhancements, buzzer doors, mirrors, etc. Things that will ensure the safety of our residents and our employees, a third of whom are residents themselves. Really important to note that we are not asking people to work more. We're not people's jobs haven't changed. It is simply really distributing our workforce over the course of a longer period of the day so that we can ensure better customer service to all of you. Another part of our strategy has been, again, I think talked about a lot in the subject of this evening's discussion, next generation neighborhoods. I think it's really important that we note that this administration has made some commitments that remain true in this plan. We are part of the mayor's affordable housing plan to create or preserve 200,000 units around the city of New York. 10,000 of those units will be built in and around NYCHA, 100% affordable housing. So this is an acknowledgement that the city has an affordable housing crisis, and we are part of that solution. We are also part of another one of our strategies is to build affordable housing where there has not been affordable housing being built in this city, in neighborhoods that have seen a huge increase in gentrification, et cetera. How do we also make sure that affordable housing continues to be built there? And how do we raise additional revenue to support the capital needs or repair needs of our developments? It's important to note that these are one of the 15 strategies, not the only, but one of the 15 strategies that we've laid out in Next Generation NYCHA, and that we remain committed to the affordability of those half of those units being at 60% area median income. That means for a family of three, a maximum of $46,000. One of the things that I've heard a lot about is you're not building that housing for NYCHA residents. No, we're building that housing so that we can generate some revenue for NYCHA residents. We want to preserve public housing for today and for the future. So we use this as a tool to help us ensure the end, which is the preservation of public housing in New York City. Baked into our plan has been engaging with residents in a new and different way, and I'm pleased to say that we will tomorrow announce the creation of stakeholder committees, and 2 of the developments where we've begun some of this work at Wyckoff and Holmes. And the conversations that have happened over the course of the last several months have really focused on how the resident voice remains at the forefront in any decisions around what happens at those developments. And that stakeholder committee will be open for residents at those developments to participate and for there to be a continued resident voice in those discussions. Really important to note what Next Gen Neighborhoods is not. It is not about displacing NYCHA families. It is not about raising your rent. It is not about privatizing buildings. And it's not about demolishing public housing. We really want that to sink in. These are the commitments that the mayor has made and that we have made as a result. So important for the future of the city in terms of providing affordable housing, but also to create additional revenue to support the significant repair needs in your homes, and just one of the tools that we have in our toolbox to preserve public housing. Another part of Next Generation NYCHA has been about connecting residents to opportunity. Last week, more than 70 resident leaders were part of a Section 3 stewardship conference where there were workshops led by HUD, EDC, or co-sponsored with EDC and SBS, really talking about how do we better connect folks looking for work to opportunities not only within NYCHA but within the broader New York City. And I think this is another example of us really peeling back the layers and providing as much information as we can, and also connecting residents to opportunity. One of the important components and values of this administration has been around transparency and providing, because not only in the provision of information, but being clear about the commitments that we make and our progress towards those commitments. So we released a report that's available for online in English and Spanish and other languages for an update on where we are on the specific strategies as outlined in Next Gen. And I would encourage folks who are interested in that to take a look. I know there are tables in the back or up front with a lot of information, and I would encourage folks to take that, as well as if you are a resident, I hope that you have downloaded the My NYCHA app, which allows you to schedule your work at your convenience, not to take an appointment when it is simply assigned to you. Also allowing you to track the work and track what's happening in your development, if there are outages, et cetera. Again, it's another way of us trying to provide more information and give you information to help make informed decisions. So I want to thank you for your attention, and welcome Ms. Hudson back up to the stage to begin the rest of our program. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair Olotoye. We hope that as many people as possible will have an opportunity to express their comments. So before we begin the actual hearing, let's go over the following ground rules to make this evening go smoothly for us all. If you wish to speak, first you must fill out a speaker's slip. They are available in the entrance area at the table marked Speaker Sign-In. Please line up at each of the microphones in the aisles and wait your turn to speak. Each speaker is allowed 3 minutes to speak. On stage, you will see a timer with 3 lights. When you begin to speak, the green light will be on and the timer will begin to count down. When the yellow light is lit, it means you should start to conclude your remarks. When the red light is turned on, your 3 minutes to provide comments are over. A table has been set up outside so that written comments may also be submitted. Numbered speaker slips are non-transferable, and if you are not present or do not wish to speak when your name and number is called, you will forfeit the opportunity to speak. The hearing is being recorded and transcribed by a stenographer, so please speak only from the microphones in the aisles and identify yourself, your development, or affiliation. Remember, we are here to comment on the significant amendment and the capital plan. Any personal comments on, criticisms of, or oral attacks on NYCHA personnel, resident representatives, and public attendees, or any demeaning, discriminatory, or ethnic slurs or vulgar language will not be tolerated. As moderator of this evening's meeting, I reserve the right to immediately move on to the next speaker online if any comments are deemed inappropriate. The moderator on stage is in charge of the public hearing. Please be considerate of your neighbors and follow my directions. We are here to consider issues that are of concern to everyone, not issues that concern only a single resident or individual. If you have an issue that concerns only you or your apartment, we have tables set up outside specifically for that purpose. Please fill out a resident response form at the table outside marked resident complaints. The passing out of materials is not allowed in the auditorium. However, a general information station is available outside where leaflets and flyers may be displayed. Resource tables have been set up outside with information so that at the end of the meeting, you can pick up information that may be of interest to you. We encourage you to learn more about our community programs and development, including resident services and economic opportunities. Copies of the executive summary for the significant amendment are available in English, Spanish, Chinese, and Russian for review purposes on the tables outside the auditorium. So let's begin. First speaker we have is Mrs. Nellie McKay from Patterson. Following Mrs. McKay, we have Reverend Jason Tabor.
Right here.
I think we need a microphone for Mrs. McKay.
Good evening. My name is Nellie McKay, and I'm from Patterson Project and the Bronx. I support the next generation, but now you have to think about us. We support the next generation, and we need a lot of help. And at the next 2017 housing would need $17 billion to overhaul all the projects. They need to be fixed up before they fall down. And the old saying, call the carpenter before the roof cave in. And a lot of roofs is caving in the Bronx and all over the Bronx and Manhattan. So I hope that we can work together and build a better place where we live. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. McKay. Next, we have Reverend Tabor. Please make
Good
your
evening.
way. Yeah.
I do come from a congregation near Williamsburg Houses in North Brooklyn, and I want to speak on their behalf. I represent about 150 congregants there, the majority of whom either are NYCHA housing residents or have family connections there. I want to speak for them. Most of them could not be here today because we're in Manhattan in the middle of the afternoon on a weekday. So I do want to speak on their behalf. To the point of the market/affordable rate housing going into NYCHA developments. And I hear what the chair is saying, that is a tool to an end, but want to make very clear that that's speaking for my congregants, that's a frightening tool, because many of them have lived through the market rate/affordable housing, the gentrification things for a long time. The city has funded studies now that show what these people have known for years, that public housing residents in particular don't benefit from and don't connect with those who come in through market rate and affordable housing. And we know, by the way, that when it says half affordable, that's the question always is affordable for whom? Many of my people whom I care about make way under that. 46,000 would be a dream for many of them. And so the effect is that it makes neighborhoods where these people have lived for years or generations less affordable for them. It is a tool to an end, I understand that, but I want to make that very clear that it's a frightening tool. So I know you're not answering questions. I'll leave it with this rhetorical question, which is, if this is an appropriate tool and a necessary tool, what can be done to help people who have lived there not feel like their neighborhoods are being taken from them? Thank you.
Thank you. Speaker number 3, Denise Jennings Houston, followed by A.M. Goodridge.
Good evening. I'm a product of the Williamsburg Houses in Brooklyn when it was called the Williamsburg Projects, far back as 1960. My mother, who will turn 84 this July still resides in the 3rd floor walk-up where I was raised approximately 56 years ago. I came there when I was about 4, so I'm 60 now. She's lived there 56 years without an opportunity to acquire any home equity of any kind. So when we talk about affordable housing, what I want to say is affordable housing, especially in this day and age, has to be the opportunity to build home equity at minimum and at best a path to home ownership, because it's not affordable if you're paying rent and you're not being able to hold on to some of that. So I think this project here, that's nice, it's beautiful, but what about people who have been living there 50, 60 years, and they're not able to hold on to anything to move forward? So that's not fair. And I know you all want to be fair, so I would ask that you would take that in consideration as you're trying to improve things. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Houston. A.M. Goodridge, followed by Julia Foster.
So thank you again, for my behalf. So I am A.M. Goodridge, also a Crown Heights resident, and I'm an activist for Occupy Wall Street and Brooklyn Anti-Gentrification Network. So the one thing that we mentioned about time and time again with this Wyckoff Gardens business is about you talk about like market rate and affordable. That's not going to mix. But unfortunately, like 50% affordable for extreme low income and 50% for retirement and the veterans. So that's where we have to put the demands on the table. And I went by this town hall meeting to like February about this supermarket to be shut down. People from Wyckoff Garden had access to healthy food. But what's going to happen is if they shut down for like maybe 2 or 3 years, there's no access to healthy food. So they're going to travel to Whole Foods to get male organic products. And it's like something like sometimes it'll be a little bit expensive, but that's not something that have affordable, healthy access to healthy food for people who live in Wyckoff and, of course, Warren Street. So, so this is my part or point of view to make sure that we have to be on the same page. Thank you.
Thank you. Julia Foster.
Representing Cooper Park. I'm also a product of Williamsburg Houses, and I'm the president of Cooper Park Houses, where I resided for over 30 years. I was understanding the plan for next generation is not to raise rent or not to do other things. I've lived there over 30-something years, and my rent just went up about $1,000 because I increased by putting my son on my lease permanently. Our income is not that high. We don't make that kind of money because there's 2 of us. My rent is over $1,000, where I've never even paid basically $500. I understand that we're going to try to build developments in Holmes and Wyckoff to offset that income, and they're called affordable. Affordable for who? Williamsburg, Greenpoint, I mean, it's coming to our neighborhood also. I don't know when. Who are these homes affordable for? I know this is not a Q&A, but as a question I want to put out there. Also, town hall meetings. You really make these town hall meetings impossible for anyone to get to. I have a lot of seniors where I live at. Yes, they may have accessory, but that doesn't mean that accessory, they call it stressori, because they never come up on time, they never pick them up on time, and they can be stuck here in Manhattan waiting 2 and 3 hours to leave. So your town hall meetings need to, I think, be based in the developments that you provide services for, to come out to Cooper Park, come to Williamsburg Houses, come to Bushwick, come to, who am I missing, Boricua? Come visit us. Come give us a town hall meeting, for we as presidents will also have backup from you for what we say, and for you to tell them, the residents, what your initial plan is. because we try to explain it and it's really hard to explain. That's all I have to say, but thank you and best of luck to the next generation.
Thank you, Ms. Foster. Next, we have Carolyn Walton, followed by Joanne Brown.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Mr. Kelly, members of the dais. My name is Carolyn Walton, and I am the resident leader of Glenwood Houses and the district chair for Brooklyn South. Glenwood has been chosen as one of the first 12 developments to participate in the Flex Ops initiative. And I have just wanted you to know that I have had an opportunity to speak with many of the residents at Glenwood Houses who are in favor of this and have expressed an opportunity to finally get to meet the NYCHA staff at Glenwood and to have the repairs made at their apartments. Thank you.
Thank you. Joanne Brown, followed by Juan Acevedo.
Good afternoon. My name is Joanne Brown, and I'm the Vice President of Warren Street Houses. And I also sit on Community Board 6, and I also sit on the CAG, and I'm also a part of the Fifth Avenue Committee. I'm here, I'm just wanting to ask you, could you please help out Warren Street Houses? Because we have a lot of mold, we have a lot of leakiness in the roof, okay? And then you have a lot of bed bugs, okay, that's in our development. I mean, like, I know that they came out a year ago, a year and a half ago, but they really need to come in there and then assess the apartments, you know, make sure that everybody's okay. And also, too, I'm asking you, well, could you put out the lighting that's in the front of the development? Those lightings you cannot see, well, when you're standing outside, they are so dim, where if somebody come up on you, you wouldn't even know who they are or either want to hurt you. I just need some lighting that's out there out there in the front of the development, all right? And also, too, you know, I understand about the next generation of NYCHA, but it all sounds good, but then if you look at, if you're gonna give all these to development, you got a lot of development that's coming up, and all these here big businessmen is just trying to buy up the development. Can't you ask them to try to fix up the developments that's already there first before they start building on the land or whatever? You know what I'm saying? Because you have so many people there, they have broken things that, you know, like, I'm talking about like cabinets or refrigerators that need to be done. Fix up that place first, and then you build on that land or whatever, however y'all want to do this with this next generation NYCHA. And then ask those big business people to be putting money back into the development that they are trying to do. And then by you taking away the supermarket, our laundromats and what have you, okay, I made a suggestion before. If you want to do all that, please put the laundromats back into the development. Get them a key card so they can put money on that card so they can be able to go to the laundry so when nobody beat them up and hurt them or whatever, thinking that they got money. And also, too, you know, if they can put like a big giant supermarket, I mean like a Key Food. Remember, those are low income people that have like our Social Security, public assistance. We can go to those there stores. Them Whole Food stores, I ain't gonna lie, I just went to the store, I spent $37 on just a little bit of food. And I'm saying to myself, good God Almighty, I don't have that kind of money to go to them big old stores. So can y'all please, I'm asking you to help us, okay? We are not no rich people, but we just want y'all to just look out the little people. We are the little people, okay? Can you just help us, please? I appreciate that.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Next, Juan Acevedo, and then
Sí,
Robert
it's me.
Stabler.
Muy buena noche, señores de la mesa representante de Housing o NYCHA. Mi nombre es Juan Asensio. Yo vengo aquí a presentarle una inquietud que nosotros, los que vivimos en Ocean Bay, estamos inquietos porque muchos de nosotros estamos nerviosos por una situación, y es que allí quieren implementar el programa de RAD.
Buenas tardes. Buenas noches. Buenas noches, mi nombre es
Juan Asensio.
Juan Asensio y yo vengo esta noche a representar un grupo de personas que tenemos una inquietud por la implementación del programa RAD en Ocean Bay.
It's English because estoy hablando en español, usted está repitiendo lo
I'm
mismo.
sorry. I am so sorry. Okay, my name is Juan Asensio, and I'm representing a group of residents at Ocean Bay, and we want to bring up an issue that all of us are afraid of at Ocean Bay.
Yo veo que mes tras mes están haciendo una reunión y están imponiendo el programa, a pesar de que muchos de nosotros no queremos el programa porque no queremos perder la protección de NYCHA.
Okay. He says that they've been having a lot of meetings and they want to implement this program, but a lot of us are against it.
Y esto se está haciendo como de una manera dictatorial, porque muchos de nosotros tenemos transfer para irnos a otro lugar y eso no camina.
Oh, he says that they're doing this in a dictatorship type of a way, that a lot of us have approved transfers and they're not moving anywhere.
Y digo de una forma dictatorial porque cada vez que a nosotros nos toca hacer preguntas, nunca se nos da la respuesta, se nos evade.
I say that it's done in a dictatorship type of way because every time we ask a question, we never get a straight answer.
Y esto nosotros, muchos de nosotros queremos que este problema se nos resuelva porque realmente no queremos perder la protección de NYCHA y también hay un problemita que tenemos que es de mosquito en este momento.
He also wants to get an answer from NYCHA because we don't want to lose the protection from NYCHA. And I want to also bring to you the attention there's a problem with mosquitoes in the area.
No queremos tampoco...
we do not want...
No queremos tampoco que nos traten de convencer con palabras bonitas, sino con hechos.
We don't want you to convince us with pretty words or we want action. We want things, to go
Porque
through.
Nadie invierte para no sacar. Y este es el problema que nosotros estamos mirando, que nos están diciendo que van a hacer esto, aquello, pero al final sentimos que todo lo van a aumentar.
Because nobody invests in something unless they're getting something back.
Thank you, Ms. Acevedo.
Muchas gracias.
Next
Thank
we
you.
have Robert Zabler, followed by Jacob Scher.
Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to point attention to you that the timing is wrong because people cannot come here on time. Your meeting is a little bit off. Second, people are scared to death to come over and show their faces because they're afraid of retaliation. The management, if your development is retaliating them, if they complain, they retaliate, they don't fix their apartments, they do everything. So you have 10 years of repairs that haven't been done because tenants dare to complain. So most of my people that in my development don't want to even show up. What you're doing is putting lipstick on the pig. Basically, you proposing, all these fancy things that you are going to do for us, and nothing is ever done. And at the board meeting, I didn't have time to say much because it was 3 minutes, is not much time. But at any rate, you have to take into consideration that this is not your money, this is sort of public money, so you're losing money right and left, and you award contracts to the contractors who don't do the job right, and everything is absolutely monies. I live right next to Henry Street Development. They have houses that are 150 years old, built in 1850s, and they're still standing in good repair, and they're getting better because the prices went up so high, so it's good reason to fix it up. In my old Amsterdam, there are houses that are 600 years old. They're still standing, except they are maintained properly, and your management is not doing what they're supposed to be doing. So, I have a wooden crane, picture of a wooden crane, which is 800 years old, still standing there. Wood structure. It's 800 years old. So what are you talking about? 50 years ago, they built their housing for NYCHA, and now it's all falling apart. Who the hell is the problem? Who is not maintaining it? Where are the managers? They're just doing it deliberately to retaliate against tenants. And, these people are not showing up because they're afraid. I can go live in igloo in North Pole, but families with children can't do that. So, I'm not worried about if anybody retaliates against me because I can get even. So I did it with the IRS and I did it with the federal government. Been homeless 3 times. And they regret every minute that they step on my toes. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zabra. Jacob Scher from Assemblymember Rosenthal's office, followed by Hallie Chu.
Good evening. My name is Jacob Scher. I'm here to give testimony on behalf of Assemblymember Linda Rosenthal, who's in Albany, of course. I'm Assemblymember Linda Rosenthal, and I represent the 67th Assembly District, which includes the Upper West Side and parts of Hell's Kitchen. I proudly represent the thousands of residents in Amsterdam Houses and Amsterdam Addition and Harborview Terrace. I appreciate the opportunity to present testimony on proposed amendments to the New York City Housing Authority's annual plan for the fiscal year 2016. For years, severe budget shortfalls, coupled with chronic operations and fiscal mismanagement, have subjected NYCHA residents to unacceptable living conditions with a backlog of repairs spanning for years. Compounding the infrastructure issues, NYCHA has long resisted efforts to make its processes and decisions more transparent. Sadly, the amendments proposed today by NYCHA continue the long tradition of opaque decision-making by the authority. It is simply astounding that even a federal investigation has not convinced NYCHA that it should be more transparent and inclusive. In NYCHA Next Generation neighborhoods, the authority has gone to great lengths to give the appearance of transparent and inclusive processes by holding community engagement meetings. However, many residents and advocates complain that the inclusivity is illusory because no one knows how NYCHA considers resident input, and certainly doesn't appear that resident feedback is incorporated in any meaningful way in NYCHA's final plans. NYCHA must do better. To begin with, NYCHA should provide residents with hard copies of all presentation materials. It should maintain a written record of agreements between NYCHA and residents, and it should be clear to residents that they are not merely expressing their concerns, but that those concerns are reflected in their final plans. Memorializing those agreements in memoranda of understanding would be a start. Putting aside the overarching concerns that I, along with many of my colleagues, have about the RAD conversions in general, and the increasing privatization of public housing, I'm troubled that NYCHA is seeking yet again to diminish public input in processes that will have substantial impact on residents. Attempting to argue that a change in the form of rental assistance is not a significant amendment to the plan, and one which would require public process, deprives residents of the vital role they should play in determining their own future. Shifting between project-based rental assistance and project-based voucher assistance will have significant consequences for tenants in terms of their rights and protections, grievance and termination procedures, control over the waiting list, and even mobility provisions. Changes to the rental assistance program will have tangible impacts on current and prospective residents' rights, and it's crucial that they be provided with an opportunity for meaningful input. It is vital that NYCHA residents play a consequential role in shaping and building their communities. NYCHA must do better to not merely create the appearance of transparent process and community engagement. It must actually create an environment where resident feedback is fostered and determinative. NYCHA's very success depends upon it. Thank you.
Thank you. Hallie Chu from Manhattan Borough President's Office, followed by Vivian Interalde.
Hi, good evening. I'm here on behalf of Manhattan Borough President Gail Brewer. Thank you to Chair Olatorre and for the members of the board for the opportunity to testify. I'm just going to give a brief summary of the written testimony which the Borough President has submitted, and I have copies of it if you need. Regarding the next generation plans, the infill being incorporated into the significant amendments, the borough president has always cautioned against offering anything that is less than 100% affordable housing built as part of next generation neighborhoods. One of the concerns that she has is on March 28, NYCHA testified before the City Council Committee on Public Housing, particularly about projected rental income from leasing ground for commercial space was less than what it had anticipated, downward from $6 million to between $3.6 million and $4.2 million. And this is a reduction of 30 to 40%. So if commercial revenue requires such a drastic readjustment, then what guarantee is there that residential units will not also see a price adjustment at the market rate level? And in this, what would it mean to have what in effect is foregoing the opportunity to provide more affordable housing on a site if it doesn't materialize the rental income that it anticipates. But regardless of the type of housing, the borough president is a strong advocate for stronger training programs and REIS, particularly to offer employment for construction jobs that are available, regardless of somebody's criminal record especially. And in light of Julian Castro, the HUD Secretary's memo released yesterday against blanket banning any individuals with criminal background for housing, borough president is calling for any new developments as a result of NYCHA's next generation neighborhoods to also make sure all the RFP winners are selected and will comply with that. And additionally, for the RAD significant amendment, borough president is against the idea of taking that out of requirement for what is effectively a public commenting process, especially for the PBRA option. It is effectively changing the nature of ownership from what is solely owned by NYCHA into a public-private partnership. In this joint ownership structure, a lot can happen depending on different HAP contracts, and it might have long-term implications on the affordability and duration of it. So at the minimum, NYCHA residents, community stakeholders, and the general public should have the opportunity to provide input during a 45-day review period and at least one public hearing. NYCHA should not take this out of a significant amendment so that it can bypass that regardless of what it might mean in terms of a kind of heavier burden in anticipating 15,000 units being transferred into project-based voucher or rental assistance program.
Thank you, Ms. Chu. That
Thank you.
concludes your remarks. We'll accept your testimony. Vivian Uturalde, followed by Victor Bach.
Hello, I am Vivian Uturalde and I live in Wyckoff Gardens in Brooklyn. I am here to say that I support the Next Gen Neighborhood Plan for my development. I know this plan is controversial, but I do not think there is any other way that we will be able to repair our own buildings. We have been living for too long with roof problems and leaks and broken doors and old appliances. I want to thank NYCHA for thinking of a way that they can fix our buildings, because I don't know if they would ever be fixed otherwise. I will be happy to have a clean, safe apartment with new appliances and a nice new lobby with new doors that lock and beautiful grounds to walk through under development. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Uturalde. Victor Bach, followed by Lisa Kenner.
Vic Bach, Community Service Society. We just want to comment on two areas. One is on resident engagement and improvements that need to be made. While NYCHA has been very diligent about engaging residents, the engagement is largely an oral tradition. Residents leave presentations without anything written in hand to review once they get home. Those who have not attended meetings don't have the material. There is no written record kept of agreements between the residents and NYCHA before the RFP is issued, so that everyone is on the same footing before developers are sought for the process. So I think good deal needs to be done to make accountable information available to all residents in affected developments and keeping a record of where residents and the authority are in agreement about the future of the community. Second, I agree with previous testifiers about excluding the RAD changes from significant amendments. Under current plans, as I understand it, NYCHA plans to use project-based vouchers in all RAD-type conversions like Ocean Bay. That means NYCHA maintains control of the waiting list. That means the waiting list used is the Section 8 voucher waiting list. If that is shifted, for instance, to project-based rent assistance, I don't want to get technical, the owner of the development has largely control over the waiting list. The waiting list will no longer be as targeted as the Section 8 waiting list is, where it is required that a majority of the vouchers be provided to the lowest income households on the waiting list. So these are substantial changes, and they shouldn't be removed from being considered significant amendments and being heard like everything else. On top of that, I'm pleased to say that with NYCHA's encouragement, CSS, along with Enterprise Community Partners, have formed a stakeholder roundtable that includes residents, advocates, NYCHA participants, to develop a set of guideline principles for resident protections and rights under RAD conversion. The conclusions of that roundtable are not yet available. I would suggest deferring that part of the plan proposed tonight until at least that comes out. Thank you.
Thank you. Lisa Kenner, and then William Smith.
Good evening. Y'all can hear me? Yes. Good evening. My name is Lisa Kenner. I'm the president of Van Dyke Houses. And the reason I got up here because I see Wyckoff and Holmes is getting ready to go underneath the next generation. Van Dyke is underneath the next generation. It have its good, it have its bad. The good part about it that we have Jacqueline Howard and the rest of them come out to try to help the residents to take over to do for themselves instead of depending on somebody else. I came here with an open mind. We have a low and supportive housing being built now because I felt like this and a lot of residents felt that we have a place to live. Why not have somebody else have a decent place to live? Now they snuck this other one in. I'm waiting for the RFP to come out, but I'm gonna still keep an open mind because I know that we're back. You know, you don't have money and people deserve a safe, clean, and connected community. You can't have a safe, clean, and connected community if you don't have no money. You see a lot of elected officials not here, but we're here. But what I want to say, the way you can have a safe, clean, connected communities and you have the next generation, you got to put the right people to manage the buildings that this is in now. And I'm not going to go in details because I've been saying it so long, but I know one thing, if we have the right people in Van Dyke doing what they're supposed to do, then we'll be together instead of being divided. We can't divide the people. See, it's divide and conquer. You know, we can't have Willie and Wilma Lynch at Van Dyke. You know, I don't know if a lot of people know who they are, but we can't have that, because if we have that, the place is going to keep being divided. Now, here, the new building going to come, and I was talking to somebody today, we don't need a war to say this is Van Dyke, or you the new development, you think you're so high sedity. That's why we have to fix up what we have now, so when the people come in and the people there, we don't have no war. We shouldn't have a war. But what I want to say, first of all, you got a clean house so we can be able to live. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kenner. William Smith, followed by Mary McGee.
First of all, I want to thank everyone for coming out, considering the weather. You know, often a lot of times we don't attend these meetings because of the elements, so it's good to see everyone here. I want to mention the fact that at the last NYCHA hearing, I mentioned that NYCHA did not detail what would happen if a RAD converted property were to fall into foreclosure or have encounter financial issues. It's been acknowledged that it's a valid point, but there's been no guidance provided on that issue, so it'd be very helpful if we could educate the people on what would happen if a property were to fall into foreclosure, because it's really important, especially seeing that the federal government is expanding the statutory cap for RAD. Aside from that, there are also other issues. We have times where we've claimed that we've strengthened our inclusion and engagement, and we have in certain instances, but we're not quite detailing the progress or lack thereof to the people. So a lot of times there are community meetings. I've never seen minutes distributed detailing some of the points that were discussed at these meetings. I think that's very important in terms of maintaining momentum, so we want to make sure we do that moving forward. With the next-gen neighborhoods, we're building on properties in communities where a lot of our youth do not have the opportunities to play basketball and engage in extracurricular activities. And I think if we're going to continue to build on NYCHA land, they should be mixed-use properties where financially feasible, but they should be mixed use. We have, for one example, in East Harlem, the Johnson Center. They have a big community center. I don't see how it wouldn't be possible to build a community center and have affordable housing units in the same property. That was accomplished for a Harlem RBI property on Washington houses. So we should be able to do that. We need more community centers in our NYCHA developments. And if we don't do that, then we won't have safer neighborhoods because our children won't have the skills and opportunities that a young man like myself had.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Not done. Not done. Also, what we also need to do is rev up our lobbying efforts in Washington and include the residents. A lot of times I read the annual plan that says that the operating subsidy is prorated. That's a congressional issue. I understand the political realities, but we need NYCHA to detail what are your lobbying efforts in Washington, how consistently you're lobbying, and what are the results of those lobbying efforts. And if it's not working, then it's time for the residents to be a part of that effort. Thank you.
Thank you. Mary McGee, followed by Joyce Bryant.
Good evening. My name is Mary McGee. I live at Fulton Houses. I read a lot of the stuff you post on Facebook, on the NYCHA webpage, and this information is not coming out to the residents. Just like this meeting here, there's only a posting on top of the mailboxes. You wonder why you have more staff than residents? It's because you're not communicating with us. We need more communication. We need to know what's going on. I feel now I know less what's going on in NYCHA than before. You're saying that you're making improvements and quality of life issues, but yet you have to look within NYCHA. You have so many residents living in overcrowded apartments. There are apartments that become available their size, but instead of giving it to a resident, you're bringing in someone new. So before you bring in anybody new, you need to take care of your home before you bring somebody in from the outside. I see so many residents with disabilities not living in the right size apartment or the right type of apartment. I see families that have 4 household members living in a 1-bedroom apartment. And NYCHA's not doing anything. And it just goes on and on and on. You're downsizing people, but you're not putting the people in the apartments that need to be there that live in NYCHA. You're giving them to the outside. You're saying that, NYCHA, the deficit every year is going up, what was the purpose of incorporating NYCHA? Because I don't see NYCHA as a corporation. I see it more as public housing, where you're getting public funds. Since you incorporated NYCHA, how much funding have you brought in? These are things that are not being said. So many changes are happening, but yet residents aren't invited to sit in and listen to what's going on or comment. The other thing is I noticed that I used to go to 250 Broadway meetings. But now, on the agenda, the majority of the time, it states citywide, not one development, where I could speak on something. So I'm just sitting in this meeting, listening to you, already deciding on decisions you already made up your minds on. I think NYCHA, you're saying you're transparent. You need to open up and let us actually see what you're doing. You have elevators that are not working. I have 3 elevators in my building. Half the time they're breaking down. You know, you wait for somebody to get hurt or someone to die to then implement on coming in and inspecting elevators. You have apartments that are falling apart and you're not fixing them. So what is NYCHA's plan, not for your new developments that are going to go up with privately owned, but the old developments that you have residents who are paying top rent and they're not getting the services or the quality of life that they deserve? My next issue is with the NYPD. I live in Fulton Houses. The 10th precinct is right there. You have PSA 4 that is on the Lower East Side. If I call 911, it takes 2 hours to come because the precinct doesn't want to send a cop because it's housing. I'm not beneath anybody. And if I call 911, somebody should respond. And NYCHA needs to start getting that out there because we are residents. We are New York City residents. And we should be treated with the same type of respect as somebody that lives in private developments.
Thank you, Ms. McGee.
Thank you.
Joyce Bryant, followed by Joshua Barnett.
Hello, I'm Joyce Bryant from Farragut Housing, and my concern is mainly about the safety where I live at. We live in a building where the doors are wide open, where the mailboxes are all broken up, and most of all, just last Friday, there was gunshots in the broad daylight, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm a legally blind lady, and I feel that this should be better than what it is. But you say you're going to do this, you say you're going to do that, but nothing is being done. I would like to know, why do we have to talk? Why can't we do what you say you're going to do? Please give us more better safety and more better apartments. Because this is not fair for the residents. If we get killed, you're going to say you're sorry. Sorry, don't do these things. You sit up on these tables, you give suggestions, but you don't do what you say you're going to do. And I would like to see a big change in this. Thank you.
Thank you. Joshua Barnett, and then Bernadette McNair.
Good evening. My name is Joshua Barnett. I work in the Office of Design and Capital Projects Division. I'm also a member of Local 375, DC 37. And once again, looking at the capital plan, what really is striking is not what it says, but really what it doesn't say. We know that NYCHA is broke. We know about the $18 billion backlog in capital repairs, but the capital plan doesn't break down how much money is going to outside consultants to hire contracts that cost more than it takes employees to pay the actual in-house employees. It doesn't break down how many managers have been hired. It doesn't really say how FlexOps is going to work if you don't hire more staff. It's not just a question of switching the hours of the field staff. When I started at the Housing Authority in 1999, we had 15,000 employees. We're down to under 11,000 now. We need more staff. We need to hire more residents to do the work. But it's not going to happen if money is going to outside consultants. It's going to hire more management. There's 6 layers of management, literally, in between me and Mike Rosen, the acting head of capital projects. That means we have a very top-heavy organization, but we don't have people on the ground actually doing the work. And if people are stretched even further, it's going to affect the safety, both of the staff and the residents. So this could be a golden opportunity to hire more residents, to increase the staffing levels, but instead it's being used to basically play divide and conquer between the staff and the residents, and it really doesn't need to be that way. We know that there is a national problem with gentrification. We know how frustrating it is, like the speaker said, that we need to advocate the national level. It's so frustrating having to go to privatization when the taxes on the rich are so low, when the war budget is so high. It's so frustrating knowing that Madison Square Garden pays no taxes. Well, we're starving for money for the workers and for the residents, and we need to advocate much stronger for much more funding and to make sure the rich and the military pay their fair share. But it's also frustrating seeing NYCHA make the worst of a bad situation by taking the money, the little money we do have, and spending it on consultants. All the Hurricane Sandy work is being outsourced to private corporations instead of bringing it in-house. And the same thing that happens with resident engagement, the pro forma discussions that don't really lead to anything substantive, that happens on the worker end as well. Discussions can't just be us venting. It has to be that we know that you listen and you incorporate what we say. And the whole poison pill of privatization with the infill housing, we know the privatization down the road leads to spending more money for less services. It's very scary to see us going that way. But if it is going to work at all, it has to be with the people who live there having an actual say about what's going to affect the quality of their lives and their neighborhoods, bringing the workers and the staff in, and we actually have not only a say, but a role in playing how this actually works. So we can't keep on having to fight for this kind of transparency. We really need a collective effort, and we really don't see it happening enough now.
Thank you, Mr. Barnett. Bernadette McNear, followed by Richard Lee.
Good afternoon. Is this on? Good afternoon. My name is Bernadette McNear, and I represent Rango Houses in Upper Manhattan. I just want to say I like the flex ops, but I would like a little clarity. If you're already working on a skeleton staff, if there's only 2 maintenance workers, one is going to work the day and one is going to work the extended hours, then therefore you're going to have a lot of things undone. There's not enough maintenance and not enough groundkeepers to maintain 9 buildings as it is, and you're going to split that staff in half. So it's going to be a lot of things undone. So, but we do like the idea. It's just that I think it needs to be broadened just a little to have the hours covered all the time, not just morning and then skip some time and then the evening. My second thought is about NYCHA is repairing roofs 100 times over, and you still get the same complaints that there's water leaking into the apartments. I suggest that NYCHA stop repairing the roofs and come into the apartments and replace the water lines in the walls, because that's where the problems are. You're fixing the roof, but your tenants are still calling you saying, I still have water. You've repaired it, you plastered it, it's still breaking. It's still, you have to come in and plaster again because of the leaks. Hear what we say. We live in the apartments, the water is in the walls. If you can hear it running in the walls, it's not on the roof. So let's come together, hear the tenants, the water's in the walls, it's coming down, let's not plaster it again, let's fix it. Thank you.
Thank you. Richard Lee, and then Daniel Ramirez.
Hi, my name is Richard. I'm the quintessential resident of public housing. I just wanted to say, when we spoke a year ago, I asked the board what they were doing about the increase in operating costs and all the fringe benefits that were going up. And I've been reading in the news recently that you guys have tried to do something about it, but it's not actually happening, right? I see the smile on your face. So I just put something together really quickly for you guys. It's a sweat equity program. I'm hoping we can collaborate. That's it.
Thank you. We'll accept. Mr. Ramirez from Fulton Houses. Next, we have Aaron Humphrey.
Hello? Testing 1, 2, 3.
Yep.
Okay.
Where are you?
Good evening, Mr. Chair. The question I have, or my concern, shall I say, is not only should NYCHA tenants and our leaders/presidents be included in the full next generation process, which includes RFPs, picking contractors, MOUs, and follow-ups with hard copies of the aforementioned, but these hard copies should be posted up on local community board websites so that outside neighbors could be informed of these changes as well and help with their expertise in helping NYCHA and NYCHA residents solve their problems. Transparency brings people together and also holds people accountable. Thank you.
Thank you. Hope Distant. And then Debrella Nesbitt. 3 minutes. Ms. Distant, we're going to, I'm sorry, Mr. Ramirez, you need a translation? I'm sorry, can I just pause for 1 second, and Mr. Ramirez needed a translator? Mr. Ramirez is going to go. Ms. Distant, you'll still get your 3 minutes. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Daniel Ramirez, and I live in Fulton Housing. I've been waiting 16 years for a transfer. I have a son who's mentally disabled, as if he were a 5-year-old, but he's 18 years old. And I only have 1 bedroom in my apartment. And every time I go to the office, they always promise. It's been about 15 years that we didn't have a shower. And now, for the last year, we finally have an appropriate kind of bathtub shower. How is it possible that with the city, in the biggest city of the world, and my son being an American, that why does he have to sleep in the living room because he doesn't have his own bedroom? And every day, this particular week, my son had to stay at the hospital because he feels like he's in a cage because we don't have enough room to be living in that apartment. I can't survive on promises, and this country seems like it's all based on promises. You understand? So then, if I have to live this way as if I were an animal, I'm just asking for some help because, or come to my neighborhood so you could see what's going on. Because I just hear that you guys are going to come, that they're going to send some people, and when they come, they don't even hear us out. The only thing that they do is that they're going to supervise and they say everything's going fine, everything's getting done, and we have windows that need repair. Or the walls that need repair and they're not getting done. Well, I hope that you would help me at the very least for my son. We're 4 people in the home with only 1 bedroom. And then there's also a disability to take into account. I'm disabled. And then my youngest also has a problem. How am I to live this way? Or is it that you can just sit there and be heartless to someone else's situation?
Okay, thank you. So can we have someone speak to Mr. Ramirez in the back, please? Will someone meet Mr. Ramirez from NYCHA Operations? Thank you. Ms. Distant.
Thank you, everyone, in this great city of New York. And I do thank God for this day and this opportunity to speak my concerns. I am a resident of NYCHA. I happen to live in the Paumanok facility in Flushing, Queens, New York. Now, I'd also like to say regarding this forum or this conference that it would be great if everyone who speaks actually announces their name, their NYCHA residence, as well as if they're a resident or what function they participate in so we know clearly who is speaking. So, and also, yes, the main thing I wanted to say is that we need a lot of improvements in NYCHA, in all the NYCHA PJs all over the entire city. The main problem is that the residents are not respected. That means every resident. Okay, you have this law where if you have one son, one daughter, or 3 sons and 4 daughters, you only get 2 bedrooms. Excuse me, ma'am. That's ridiculous. How long are they supposed to stay there? Okay, maybe they're fatherless, maybe they're motherless, whatever the case is. They move in, they want to transfer, and a transfer seems impossible. So these children grow, say, from the age of 5, 6, 10, to about 25, 30 years old, and they're still living with their mama and their brothers and their sisters in a 2-bedroom establishment. Does that make any sense? I would say no. I've been trying to get a transfer myself, and I haven't been granted one. My children are now above the age of 23, okay? And they actually need more room than a 2-bedroom apartment. I have 2 sons, and anyway, also I want to say the improvements that we need are, first of all, if anyone's having heating problems, you should give them free heaters. You can't fix the heat, give the people free heat. Don't worry about the fire. If they're old enough to make a child, they're old enough to control the heater. 2, the elevator doors. That's a problem. Some of the elevators are very small. My particular building, only 1 fat person can fit on the elevator. Seriously. If I have my shopping cart, that's it. Me and my shopping cart.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Distant.
I wanted to say one more thing. The elevator doors should be painted red so people can distinguish between the rest of the doors on every floor.
Thank you.
And all the doors on the apartment leading to the roof should be painted a bright color such as orange to indicate that the next steps lead to the roof, avoiding lockouts.
Thank you.
Nobody wants to freeze to death in the wintertime on the roof.
Next, we have Desbrilla Nesbitt, followed by Jacqueline Young, please. Is Ms. Nesbitt here? Thank you.
Good afternoon, panel. My name is Debrella Nesbitt. I'm TA president for War Houses. As the president for War Houses, I attend the DCOP meetings. And at the DCOP meetings, we have different liaisons for different officials coming to the meetings, giving a report. And one of the things that we found out is that public housing in Lower Manhattan is not receiving the services as public housing uptown. The special prosecutor office said that money was given to them to housing for the developments. All of that money went uptown to improve the quality of life of uptown. Not a dime of it came downtown. Oh, I'm sorry. And when we asked them about it, they said that was an action by NYCHA and that it should be taken up with NYCHA. NYCHA tried to say that because they felt the crime was higher up there, they would reward them with all the money. So it's coming across that if crime is higher in your development, NYCHA will reward you. We also noticed that when we looked in the journal, all the Wi-Fi that NYCHA is providing in Manhattan is uptown. And to me, NYCHA is saying, Lower East Side or Lower Manhattan, drop dead. You're improving the lighting uptown for those children when they go to school. When we're not on daylight saving time, our kids are walking in the dark to go to to school who have to catch that 7 o'clock bus. You're making sure that the children uptown can have the lighting, but the 8 years old downtown, good luck, because NYCHA's not looking out for you. One other thing I have to say, I do not feel that NYCHA is giving attention to the residents. I'm not going to say uneducated, but they are undereducated. And if you send papers to their house and they don't understand it, they dismiss it. I've been trying in my meetings to get them to come to me or to go to their housing assistant, but it's something that needs to be addressed. A dyslexia person will sign because they're being told to sign. They don't know what they're signing, they haven't read it, and a lot of times when residents are have problems, it's because they've committed themselves to something they didn't understand. I myself don't fully understand the affidavit. I have problems with it, and it's somebody else who is undereducated or having problems too. So I'm just asking NYCHA to look into that, talk to the property managers, and find a way that they can come together with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Jacqueline Young, followed by Julia Foster.
Good evening, Chair Lady, Mr. Kelly, and the panel. My name is Jacqueline Young. I'm the president of the Lenox Road houses in Brooklyn. We're a scatter site, 3-building residence located in Brownsville area. I have 3 questions. The first question being in regards to recycling. We had representatives come to our building at our last tenant association meeting and rolled out a plan for recycling for our building. But we were not told exactly when we were going to begin to receive the bins. Our buildings are 4-story walk-ups. They're not that typical project building. So our tenants are looking forward to participating in the recycling program. We need to know exactly when we're going to receive the bins for the program. That's the first question. Second question is, the residents, including myself, pay electric in our development. We are an old building. Our building is over 30 years old. We don't really receive sufficient heat, so most of the tenants use electric heaters, and our electric bills are pretty high. And we were told several months ago that we were going to receive a credit toward the electric, and that has not happened as of yet. I'd like to know when that will take place as well. And the third question, as part of the next generation, NYCHA is going to be working with developers to bring low-income tax credit housing into the communities. And my question is whether or not NYCHA or these developers are going to hire people from NYCHA who are qualified to work as property managers, maintenance, what have you, in these new developments when they are built.
Thank you.
When will I get the answers to these questions?
We will have someone contact you, Ms. Young. We have your information. And all of the information related to the questions we received this evening will be posted online.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Ms. Foster?
Thank you once again for letting me speak. Julia Foster, Cooper Park Houses. Being that I spoke earlier, there were some concerns that a lot of us have had here, and that was basically how you guys are going to generate income from all these new buildings that you're going to build. I had forgotten that we have, someone had mentioned community centers. We have many community centers that have been taken over by other private entities. And how is it that you turn over our community centers to others that are private or maybe have a 501(c)(3), and these folks are not being charged rent? They're all free, and they run their programs out of our community centers. I feel that that is another way that NYCHA could be generating income into the developments and have certain things fixed. It's only a suggestion, and I suggest we go back to the table and renegotiate some of these contracts where DYDC and other programs are taking over our community centers and we have no say. Charge these people rent. We used to have rentals and that was supposed to go back to the development. Charge these folks rent. They're in our community centers for free. The other thing I wanted to say was being contracted out. There are so many things someone mentioned also about us being contracted out. There are a lot of young men in my development that have licenses to do a lot of work, and they're not being hired. Section 3, I don't know where it went. It went flying. These guys have their contractors, they have their OSHA 10, they have their OSHA 30s, and they're running around looking for work. Yet a lot of NYCHA developments are being worked on and they're not being hired. Hire our own, take care of our own. Safe, clean, connected. We are very, very disconnected. Let's get connected. Take care of our own first, and then everyone else is secondary. The same with moving people into apartments. I heard several people speak on living in apartments that are not suitable for 2 and 3 people in 1 bedroom. Take care of our own first before we move other people in. Even with building these new buildings, let's look at the folks that are living in a 1 bedroom with 4 people living in there. Thank you, but those are just my suggestions.
Thank you, Ms. Foster. Our last speaker for the evening is G. Renee Harrison.
Good evening, Madam Chair, distinguished guests, neighbors, residents. There's some concern issues that are going on within NYCHA. And Madam Chair, I've been trying so hard to connect with you. You say you see something, you say something. Well, I've said something. I went to the Inspector General's office as to what's going on where I reside in Wrangell Houses. And because of that, I'm being retaliated against, humiliated against, and everyone knows what's going on from the borough's office to 250 Broadway, and nothing is being done. But you're dragging me in for an administrative hearing that I'm an undesirable tenant and I've been living 40 years in Wrangell Houses, owing not 1 dime of rent, follow all rules and regulations, and something's got to give. Something's got to give. Madam Chair, I would really like to sit down one-on-one and have a conversation with you. I understand we're getting ready for our recyclable. Yes, we had our meeting at our TA. We're on board, but we don't have no bins. So everything to make us go forward for the next generation, we're going 3 steps backwards. I'm just telling it like it is, okay? I'm an upstanding citizen, I'm a military mom, and I'm just being harassed now because I went to the people that I'm supposed to go to when corruption is at its best. And now I'm being retaliated against. That's G. Renee Harrison. Madam Chair, I would like to contact you.
Thank you, Ms. Harrison. It's not the last speaker. We have Aaron Humphrey.
I'm back. Hey, I'm Aaron Humphrey, TA President 344 East 28th Street, also Community Board 6 member and stuff. And the question I'd like to ask, or some advice I'd like to give is, while you're doing your next generation and allowing developers to build on NYCHA land, as what people here are talking about, the NYCHA's, apartments being oversized and undersized, can't you put in your memorandum of understanding that developers when making affordable housing units, give a certain amount of housing units set aside for seniors, because the seniors who usually clog up these 4, 3-bedrooms, and 5-bedroom apartments, once their kids graduate and leave, they're stuck now in an undersized apartment. You put them in the same neighborhood, same development, in a new building, small apartment there. It allows for those big apartments to now be utilized by families that are oversized and move in there. So, get rid of the backlog problems we have in housing. I just think that'd be a great suggestion. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Humphrey. Okay, Jim Vogel,
Yeah, I'm from Senator Montgomery's office.
Senator Montgomery's office. Thank you.
Chairwoman, I hope that olive tree is doing good. Okay. The senator's in Albany. It's that time of year. She has just a few concerns that she once expressed. As a member of the New York City Alliance to Preserve Public Housing, thank you, Vic Bach, I support the observations and suggestions provided by the organization, and I repeat their call for a clear and direct answer to the questions regarding the tenant outreach efforts for NextGen NYCHA. Having reviewed the plan documents found on the NYCHA website regarding NextGen NYCHA, the effort going forward at Wyckoff Gardens, I can finally say that no new buildings should be taller than any of the current Wyckoff buildings. It's a matter of being a good neighbor. The neighborhood's already under gentrification pressures. It would be a huge ULURP effort because I believe that that area of the Gowanus is only allowed to have a maximum of a 10-story building anyway. Let's see, all new housing, this is the senator, should be 100% affordable. NYCHA should not be in the business of conveying public land to private developers. I am very aware of the precarious economic cliff that NYCHA finds itself on. And I appreciate the efforts being made to develop and stabilize cash flow to carry the agency and all its tenants into a more stable and sustainable future. However, NYCHA must also fulfill its obligation as a public authority for transparency and communication. The task ahead is daunting and will require the goodwill and coordinated efforts of NYCHA, the tenants, New York's community of housing advocates, and certainly the elected officials. Communication must be improved if this plan has to have any chance to succeed. NYCHA was developed as a means of providing safe and affordable quality housing for low and moderate income families in New York City. And it included all the services required to sustain a quality of life with health centers, community centers, daycare, senior centers, etc. The need for quality, affordable housing is arguably as great today or greater than when NYCHA was founded. NYCHA cannot forget its past, and it must remember its mission. And that's from the senator.
Thank you, Mr. Vogel. So I thank you all for your comments, and this concludes NYCHA's significant amendment to the 2016 annual plan and the fiscal year 2016 capital plan public hearing. Have a good evening.